The Canadian Rockies in late March hold their cold the way stone holds heat in summer. Slowly, completely, with no intention of letting go. The snowpack at this elevation is still 2 meters deep in places, crusted on top from a week of freeze-thaw cycles, capable of bearing the weight of a large animal one moment and collapsing under the same weight the next. The forest here is spruce and fir, dense enough to block most of the wind, open enough that the clearings between tree lines run long and flat and exposed. Nothing moves here in winter without leaving a record of itself in the snow, which is why the grizzly bear's emergence from its den is visible from a long way off. The prints he leaves are 28 centimeters across. Each one punches through the crust and sinks 8 centimeters into the softer snow beneath. The trail reads like a sentence written in the landscape. Something very large came this way, recently, moving downhill. The bear is a male. He weighs approximately 280 kilograms, down from the 310 kilograms he carried into the den in November. 4.5 months of dormancy have burned through his fat reserves in a way that leaves him in a specific physiological state. Not desperate, not panicked, but operating under a caloric deficit that sharpens everything about how he reads the landscape. He is hungry in the way that an engine is hungry for fuel, not emotionally, but structurally. His body requires input, and it requires it now. He has been awake for 3 days. In those 3 days, he has covered 12 kilometers, eaten bark, excavated a frozen pocket of roots that gave him perhaps 600 calories, and found nothing else. The den site is behind him now, higher on the slope, and he is descending toward the valley bottom where the snowmelt creates the first patches of exposed ground and the first possibility of real food. He does not know that something found his den site before him. He does not know because the wind has been coming from the north for 4 days, carrying his scent away from the den rather than toward it. Had the wind been different, the sequence of this morning would have been different. But the wind was what it was, and so the grizzly descends toward a site already occupied by an animal that has no intention of leaving it. The wolverine, gulo, is 8 kilograms of muscle, aggression, and olfactory capability so extreme that it can detect a carcass beneath 2 meters of packed snow. It is sometimes called the skunk bear, the glutton, the carcajou. None of these names capture what it actually is, which is this: the most aggressive mammal on Earth relative to its body size, operating in an environment so demanding that most other predators avoid it entirely. The wolverine does not avoid the deep winter Rockies. The deep winter Rockies are where it lives. She found the rock overhang 4 days ago, following a route she has used in previous years through this section of the Rockies. Wolverines have home ranges that can exceed 2,000 square kilometers, and within those ranges they maintain detailed spatial memory of every useful site, every cache location, every reliable shelter, every south-facing rock face that holds heat through the coldest months. The south-facing aspect collects heat, the granite provides stability, and the narrow entrance is exactly the right geometry for a wolverine to defend. She has been here for 4 days. This is her den now. The grizzly picked up her scent on the 3rd day of his descent. He is not hunting her. Wolverines are not prey he would ordinarily pursue. What he is following is the composite smell of the den site itself, the accumulated warmth, the traces of old food, the particular microclimate that forms under rock overhangs where animals have been living. He has used sites like this before. His memory of the landscape, detailed and specific, tells him this is a location worth investigating. He reaches the rock face at mid-morning. The approach takes him across a long, flat clearing between 2 stands of spruce, open ground that leaves him visible from any point on the surrounding slopes. He moves without caution, which is the natural mode of an animal that has almost nothing to fear in this landscape. He has been the largest thing on this slope for his entire adult life. Wolves defer to him. Black bears move out of his way. Even other grizzlies, in most encounters, read his size and posture, and choose a different direction. The wolverine at the entrance to the overhang is the first animal he has approached this spring that has not moved. He registers this. It affects nothing about his immediate plan, but it registers. The wolverine is inside. She hears him coming from 40 meters. The crunch of his feet through the crusted snow is a sound nothing else in this landscape makes at this weight, and she has been in this landscape long enough to know exactly what it means. She does not retreat further into the den. She moves to the entrance. This is not a defensive posture. It is an offensive one. The wolverine does not wait for threats to arrive at a distance she is comfortable with. She moves toward them. Every instinct she has been shaped by across millions of years of evolution, in environments where nothing ever gave ground willingly, points in the same direction. Forward. What the grizzly sees when he arrives at the rock face is a wolverine filling the entrance to the overhang. 12 centimeters of jaw, a set of claws built for traction on ice, and the particular stillness of an animal that has already decided it is not moving. He is 40 times her weight. He begins to dig. The granite here is solid, but the soil at the base of the overhang is compacted earth and gravel. And a grizzly's claws, 5 centimeters, curved, backed by 280 kilograms of muscle, are capable of moving it. He digs at the left side of the entrance, trying to widen the gap, to create an angle of access that does not put his face directly in front of the wolverine. The wolverine exits the den. This is the moment that changes the nature of the encounter. She does not wait to be excavated. She comes out directly, immediately, without any of the threat displays that most animals use to create distance before a confrontation. She walks out of the den and attacks the bear. The grizzly's nose is the most sensitive structure on his body. It contains 250 times more olfactory receptors than the human nose. It is also physically a soft and exposed tissue on the front of his face. The wolverine's first bite is to the nose. The grizzly pulls back. He shakes his head. The wolverine holds on for 2 seconds. 2 seconds of full bite pressure from an animal with a jaw force to body size ratio among the highest of any land predator, and then releases and repositions. The bear makes a sound that carries across the valley. It is not a sound of aggression. It is a sound of pain and surprise from an animal that has not been hurt like this by something this small before. He swipes at her with his right forepaw. A grizzly's paw swipe is a blow that has been documented knocking moose off their feet. It lands. The wolverine goes 3 meters across the snow, hits the crusted surface, rolls, finds her feet. She is back on him in 4 seconds. This time she targets the face again, but from the side, coming in low and fast along the left side of his jaw. The bear retreats 2 steps. The wolverine follows. This is the dynamic that makes this encounter so difficult to process. The bear is retreating and the wolverine is advancing. Not because the bear is losing in any absolute sense, not because the wolverine could kill him, but because the cost-benefit calculation of this specific confrontation, run through the bear's nervous system in real time, keeps coming back negative. Every engagement costs him something. Every time he reaches for her, she is somewhere else. Every time he tries to hold ground, she bites something that registers. He is hungry. Fighting is expensive. And this den, useful as it might be, is not worth what this animal is extracting from him. He turns. He does not run. Grizzly bears do not run from wolverines. The weight and dignity of the animal does not permit that kind of retreat. He walks, with deliberate slowness, along the base of the rock face, putting distance between himself and the entrance to the overhang. He stops 10 meters away and looks back. The wolverine is at the entrance to the den, watching him. He continues walking. The distance between them grows. 10 meters, 20, 30. The bear does not look back again. Whatever algorithm his nervous system ran on that encounter has reached its conclusion, and the conclusion is final. There is no negotiation happening in his processing. The sight is gone. The morning is not over. The valley still has food in it somewhere. The wolverine watches him go until he has cleared the tree line and his shape has reduced to a dark mark moving across the white valley floor. She is reading his trajectory, not consciously, not as a plan, but in the way that an animal with her olfactory capability and spatial intelligence reads the landscape. He is heading southeast, away from her cached kill to the northwest. The paths will not cross again today. She remains at the entrance for another 20 minutes, reading the air, tracking his scent as it moves downslope with the morning breeze. Then she goes back inside. The grizzly spends the rest of the morning working the valley bottom. He finds a pocket of ground squirrels that have not yet fully emerged from torpor. Slow-moving, easy to excavate, 5 of them in a colony that yields perhaps 1,200 calories. He eats methodically, without the urgency the morning's encounter might have suggested. His body is managing its deficit the way it always manages deficits, one caloric opportunity at a time over the course of the long days ahead. At no point does he return to the rock face. This is worth noting. Grizzly bears have been observed returning to contested food sources repeatedly, pressing the same claim against the same competitor across multiple encounters in a single day. He does not do this. One encounter with this particular animal at this particular site has produced a conclusion that his processing treats as settled. The site is no longer in contention. Something about the encounter made that permanent. The wolverine emerges at dusk. She moves across the crusted snow with the low, rolling gait of her species. A movement that looks ungainly until you realize it is covering ground at a pace that most animals cannot sustain. She is heading northwest, following a scent trail she laid 3 days ago that leads to a cached kill. A mountain goat that died in an avalanche, which she found before anything else did, which she buried in the snow with the precise economy of an animal that has been doing this for 10,000 years. She will eat. She will return to the den. The den is hers. This is the outcome, not dramatic, not cinematic in the way that human observers might want it to be, but real and complete and operating according to the logic of an ecosystem that does not assign outcomes based on size. 8 kilograms held 280 kilograms to a standstill because 8 kilograms was willing to pay any cost the confrontation required, and 280 kilograms was not. The grizzly will find another site. He always has. In 11 years of ranging this section of the Rockies, he has used 37 different den sites and dozens of temporary shelters. And he carries all of them in a spatial memory that researchers studying grizzly cognition have compared, in its accuracy and detail, to the mental maps maintained by experienced human navigators. He is not lost. He is not defeated. He is recalculating. Or he will return to his original den, higher on the slope. Or he will keep moving, and the landscape will provide something. The landscape always provides something, eventually, for animals that know how to read it well enough and persist long enough to reach the moment when it does. The Rockies hold their cold the way they always hold it, without preference, without intention, with complete indifference to the animals moving across the surface of the snow. What happened here today is not recorded anywhere except in the tracks. The grizzly's deep punching prints moving toward the rock face and then away from it. The wolverine's shorter, wider marks at the entrance to the overhang, and the churned snow where 2 animals settled a question that the landscape itself had no opinion about. The Rockies hold their cold. The snow holds the record of everything that moved across it today. And somewhere under a granite overhang on a south-facing slope, 8 kilograms of wolverine is asleep in a den that a 280-kilogram grizzly bear decided was not worth the cost.